The Stepmom's Book of Boundaries, written by Claudette Chenevert, narrated by Samantha Bolte Woods. The Stepmom's Book of Boundaries. Preface. Do you feel as if your rights are being trampled on? As if, when it comes to some of the most significant relationships in your life, your desires continually go unheard by others? Do you wish everyone in your stepfamily home could benefit from healthier, happier, and more peaceful interactions? If so, I bet you also wonder how you can turn what sometimes feels like a battleground into a safe haven for you and for those you care about most. What you need, dear stepmom, are boundaries. I speak from nearly 3 decades of experience, knowing full well how a lack of boundaries can incite conflict, confusion, and anxiety. An absence of boundaries in the home can also lead to dangerous imbalances in power. Healthy boundaries do exactly the opposite. They generate feelings of security, comfort, and peace. They also instill a greater sense of self-respect in us and in those we love. So while I know you'd sometimes like to, don't give up. The methods and tips outlined in this book will help you set clear boundaries. They'll also serve as points of discussion which get each of your stepfamily members thinking and talking about ways you can improve your lives. Pretty soon, you'll all enjoy healthier, happier, and more peaceful relationships with yourselves and one another. The key is taking it one step at a time. Warmly, Claudette. Claudette Chenevert, the Stepmom Coach. Claudette at stepmomcoach.com. Introduction. Good fences make good neighbors. Robert Frost from the poem Mending Wall, 1914. Why a book on boundaries when, as stepmoms, we have little say in such matters? That's precisely why. Even as a child, I knew that if I didn't feel a sense of clear boundaries around me, I was likely to push my parents' buttons just to see how far I could get. I had an insatiable desire to find out what would happen if I tried this or that, meaning find some way to get into trouble. There were other times I knew right off the bat that if I dared to cross a line, I'd wind up in big trouble. In cases like those, I wouldn't even get close to approaching any lines my parents had drawn. Then there were moments in which my parents wouldn't say a peep. Like the time I argued with my mother about some trivial thing, telling her she didn't know what she was talking about. Neither of my parents said a word. For me, it signaled that I needed to continue with my argument to see how far I could take it. All of a sudden, my father got up and whacked me across the mouth. I guess I'd crossed a boundary I hadn't seen coming. I knew, both in my head and in my heart, that I might be pushing it. Yet, who was stopping me? For the most part, no one. I wanted someone to tell me enough. If you go on with this kind of behavior, here's what's going to happen to you. What I wanted, most of all, was for someone to parent me, to stop me when I misbehaved and to show me where, in fact, my willfulness should end and the line around decorum began. When I became a parent and then a step-parent, teaching boundaries to our kids held new importance. Still, it was difficult and challenging. It's one thing to set boundaries and another to enforce them, especially when it's essential that we do so. Not only that, but there's that little matter of delivering consequences at just the right time. When I began coaching other stepmoms, one of the most common issues they raised was setting boundaries. How do you go about it and how do you then enforce them? I'd sometimes recommend additional reading, though I found that any books available to moms and stepmoms didn't directly answer those questions, either for them or for me. Some of those titles were heavily based on biblical teachings. This made them difficult to read among clients who didn't have strong religious beliefs or underpinnings. Others made only passing references to boundaries in their discussions of other topics or concepts. In truth, boundaries truly are part of a greater whole. As with anything, building and creating a family, or in this case, a stepfamily, requires many different skill sets. Mastering boundaries is just one part of the larger equation. This book is the result of years spent reading, researching, interacting with clients, asking questions, journeying through self-discovery myself, and gaining experience through good old trial and error. While I don't claim to believe that it will teach you every single thing you need to know about boundaries over the course of a lifetime, I am confident in the fact that it's a strong starting point which will point you and your family in the right direction. As you begin to work through the material, know that the boundaries you create with your stepfamily will be informed by your own unique values and situations. No two homes are alike, and so it goes for boundaries. You're the one who gets to decide what will work best for you and what won't, given your stepfamily dynamic. Simply reading about boundaries will not be enough. You'll have to practice what you learn in order to be effective. To provide some help with that, I'm in the process of creating a companion program which I hope will deepen your understanding of boundaries and give you the extra boost of confidence needed to make related decisions. In the end, your boundaries will be your own. What one person takes issue with may not mean all that much to you. We see this play out in our stepfamilies, which are filled with various perspectives of what's acceptable and what's not. We all have different parenting styles, too. As a stepmom, you might take issue with your stepkids leaving their dirty dishes in the sink or on the counter. Maybe you feel as if they could have just as easily put them in the dishwasher. Your spouse, however, doesn't see it as a big deal. He may even tell you to put the dishes in the dishwasher yourself, if it bothers you so much. What we're really talking about here are feelings. You want to be valued and respected. Dirty dishes left out in plain sight are a visual reminder, for you, that you're neither valued nor respected. Because this issue is important to you but not your spouse, you feel as if he fails to validate your feelings. This, by the way, illustrates the contribution biological parents make to setting boundaries. When those parents defend their children's actions rather than address them, we feel even more powerless. Whether they do it out of guilt or shame, their desire to avoid disciplining their children and to avoid confrontation with those children, or their exes, can make us feel woefully alone in our fight to draw clear and immovable lines. Kids are known to test parental will, pushing our buttons and seeing how far they can get. Every time a boundary gets moved, they feel encouraged to move it even farther. That is, until their parents stand up and say, "Enough." The longer you wait to deal with problems and issues like these, the more difficult they become to correct. Children soon believe this is how it's supposed to be, since they suffer no consequences. As you can see, boundary issues involving children don't always indicate that you have a problem child on your hands. Parents must learn to put boundaries in place and then be willing to enforce them. Guilt isn't reason enough to give them free rein. As someone standing on the outside looking in, with the perspective only a stepmom is privy to, you can see how a lack of boundaries is causing your family a lot of grief. Some, if not all of it, unnecessary. You yearn for the day when mutual respect and validation are enjoyed by everyone in your stepfamily. You also have a right to expect that the members of your household adhere to basic rules and conduct themselves in ways which will make you all healthier and happier. Will they resist? Maybe. Boundaries aren't easily put in place. Yet this I know, the rewards are worth it. This has been The Stepmom's Book of Boundaries, written by Claudette Chenevert, narrated by Samantha Bolte Woods.